there guys, it's Betsy Veldman for Papertrey Inc. and it is Monday, which means it's time for another Make It Monday challenge. And this week I'm going to challenge you to create a project of some sort of your choice using spotlight coloring on some word dyes. Okay, so for my project today I'm going to be using the new Butterfly Folk outline set, and along with the Happy word die from the Embellished Elegance die collection. For your project you can of course use what I'm using, or if you want to create a variation, which is always great, you'll want to look for some sort of stamp set that can be colored, some sort of outline, either like a background stamp set or some sort of outline image. And then for your word die, I would recommend choosing something that it has a little bit of weight to it, a little bit of thickness that will allow some of the design of your background to show on the die cut. So don't choose anything that's super skinny because you're going to want some space to color some of the pattern that is going to be stamped on it. Alright, so let's go ahead and get started. I have an A2 panel of Stamper Select white cardstock already positioned here in my MISTI, and I'm going to take the largest butterfly from the Butterfly Folk outline set and get that set up here in my MISTI. And I'm going to be stamping with black ink. This is Memento Tuxedo, which is Copic friendly because I'm going to be coloring my butterflies with Copics. Before you begin stamping, you're going to want to decide how you're going to want to do your coloring. If you're, then choose an ink that is compatible with your coloring method. Since I'm doing Copics, I'm doing a Copic friendly ink, but if you want to color your images with, say, watercolor, you'll want to select an ink that is compatible with that method. So just decide ahead of time how you're going to be coloring your images and then stamp with the appropriate ink. Alright, so we have our largest one stamped here, and then I'm going to just fill in on the sides with one of the smaller butterflies from the Butterfly Folk outline set. So my panel is stamped the way I want it, and now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my die and my word die here, and I'm going to lay it right over top of that stamp design, and I'm going to go ahead and run it through my die cut machine. Okay, so I'm back and I have my word die cut from the center of my stamped panel. Now if your word die has some inner cuts, like here the inside of the A and also the Y, kind of want to set those aside and hold on to those because we're going to fit those back inside of the cutout a little bit later. At least save the larger pieces. There's some little cutouts in the peas here, and I'm just going to leave those. They stayed kind of nested in the die, so I'm just going to leave those as is, and I'll just kind of color those along with the rest of the word. Alright, so now comes the fun part. I'm going to take my Copics and I'm just going to go ahead and I'm going to color this word die so that there is no white left on it. Even some of these areas you'll see that are kind of outside of the design of the butterfly, I'm going to color those too. I'm going to color everything so there's no white space left on my word die. Alright, so the coloring of our word die is complete, and you can see how I colored in all of the pattern on the stamped pattern on the die cut. So now we're going to go ahead and we're going to attach this panel to a card base. I'm going to start by just putting down some adhesive around the outer edges, and then before I attach the panel, I'm just going to add some liquid adhesive to some of these little areas around the word so that they're not sticking up all over the place. Go ahead and add that. Make sure all those little pieces are stuck down. And then we're going to nest this colored word die back inside the cutout. All right, and then you remember these little pieces that we set aside, the negatives or the insides of the letters. I'm going to go ahead and put those right back in there too. Match up the pattern. So make sure you get that back in there the right way. And then the little loop of the Y can go right back in there too. All right, so then you get kind of this fun spot colored look with the nested die cut. Thanks for joining me, everybody. I hope you have time to play along in this week's challenge where I'm challenging you to do some spot coloring on a word die cut. All right, thanks for joining me. This has been Betsy Veldman for Papertrey Inc.